There's a big fear shaming thing that happens in a lot of spiritual communities, I've noticed, where we say that fear is in the way of being in the light or being spiritual. And we shouldn't let fear get in the way, we shouldn't let it hinder us from being in the light. And I just want to talk a bit about that fallacy in my mind. It's a fallacy. That in fact, fear is a teacher, fear is a connector, fear is a humbler. It helps us to recognize the vulnerability that we actually are, or we actually have as being in these supple human bodies instead of projected immortality of the soul, untouchable, unhurtable, um, impenetrable being of the soul. And the truth is, life is fucking scary. And there's a lot to be afraid of. And every time we tell someone not to be afraid, we're not honoring the human experience. We're not honoring their experience of being in a body and being on this earth. And that in turn doesn't allow them to honor their own experience and other people's experiences of fear. And when we don't honor other people's experiences of fear, we know what happens. You can see that in the world. You can see all of the hatred and violence that comes out of not honoring and meeting our own inner fear and not meeting and honoring the fear of others. So my invitation is that actually our spiritual work in this world, what we were made for, is to meet and metabolize as much fear as we possibly can, to welcome it in the door when it comes knocking, as hard and difficult as that may be, to attempt to make it a practice, to welcome it in and to allow it to move through our bodies. If that means shaking, if that means screaming, if that means crying, if that means saying, I'm so scared, I am so terrified, saying it out loud, great. That moves stuck and trapped energy that otherwise would be pushed away, otherwise would be exiled, and it allows it to move through the body and become integrated. And as we know, there's a lot of energy in fear, and when we shut it down or we push it or we numb from it, we're not actually harnessing that energy, and it can make us sick. So that's my invitation. And again, I'm not saying it's easy in any way. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. But imagine a world where we could meet our fear and we can meet the fear of others in a more compassionate way. And I will say one more thing, which is that, how many parents tell our children, don't be afraid, there's nothing to be scared of, right? Wrong. That's not honoring the child's experience. That is not honoring what a child is experiencing, and that in turn ends up having them exile that feeling and then be blocked to it, and creates all the havoc that continues to flow out of us as adults. But instead, when we can come alongside that fear and say, oh wow, you're really scared, wow, I feel you, I feel that, I am with you, that is important to me, that matters to me, then there's a permission to feel, and then to allow that feeling to dissipate of its own accord. And that's honoring the child's experience, and that's creating an adult, a future adult who is more integrated, um, and is more capable of meeting fear in the moment instead of bypassing it or exiling it. Okay, good luck out there.